Hey there, and welcome to our Healthy Holidays Better Daily seminar. I'm your host, Alex Van Houten, and we're going to be walking through some awesome stuff this evening in order to help us to become 1% better every day through the holidays. You know, a big thing in the world of training, and I've been training for 16 years, is that many people will write off their health and fitness goals through the holidays. They'll say, oh, I need to start on my New Year's resolutions, or I need to help myself get into better shape or lose weight or have more energy or whatever, but I'll get started on all that in the new year. And one of the things that we believe as a community is that now is the best time to be better. Perhaps it might look a little different than January 1st when you start the new year, but just because the holidays are coming up doesn't mean that we can't make the most of it. And that's what tonight's seminar is all about. So tonight, what we'll be doing is we'll be going through a psychology of the holidays. We're going to be talking about some of the ways that the holidays can be positive and beneficial to us. And then I spoke today in our live on our Better Daily Live shortcast about things like dreading feasting. Should we dread the feast? And no, we shouldn't. And so I'm looking forward to talking through that with you. Then we'll talk about the burning fat and growing muscle, which is, as we're going through the holidays, if we're talking about body composition goals specifically, there are some parameters I can help you with that will make sure that, the times we're not actively celebrating with family on like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, for instance, how we can still make the most of the next 40 to 45 days. And then talk about some seasonal supplements, some things that we can do to support your body. The holidays can be really stressful, and so there might be some specific things that you want to do in order to support your body through the stress. And then, as we usually do for our seminars, we'll have a live Q&A, so anybody who's joining us can add a question and we'll dive into that. So first, I want you to take just a second and think about the struggles that you face during the holidays traditionally. And so this might be a good time to write it down. If you're a note-taking kind of person, write it down. I'm going to give you just about 10 seconds or so to think about last year's holidays or maybe years prior. What do you generally struggle with during this time of year? Personally, I know that some of my struggles revolve around restoration and stress management. So when I say that, I mean things like maybe we're traveling and it's really, really difficult to keep the schedule straight. It's difficult to make sure I'm getting enough rest on a regular basis. Another thing that I struggle with is if we're visiting family members and going in and out of cities and stuff, sometimes it's hard to keep my exercise program consistent because I'm changing the environments, right? Here at home, I have my home gym, or I might have the gym that I work out at, and so I have a certain equipment style and whatnot that I'm used to, and so I have to really change the way that I'm doing things if I'm going to be somewhere else for 5 days, and I'm going to exercise in that space without the equipment that I'm used to. And the last thing I struggle with is, man, I love all of the food, all of the holiday food that exists, right? So pumpkin pie and stuffing and carrot cake and all of the cocoa versions of, of different drinks and whatnot. It's all wonderful. And one of the things that I struggle with is how do I maintain a good balance? So personally for myself, I'm not like, oh no, I ate carrot cake, so it's going to end up on my love handles. For me, my digestive tract is really finicky. And so when I eat out of the ordinary during the holiday season, I really set myself up to pay for it later. And I won't get into the nitty-gritty details here, but that's a big problem for me. And so I struggle to maintain a good level of balance. How much indulgence is enjoyable and good such that I don't have to pay for it later. And I know many of the clients that I've worked with in the past have wrestled with that as well. So as we're diving into our agenda and as we're diving into these questions, I do want to announce this, which I'm really excited about. We have our holiday special, which is being able to give the gift of Better Daily over the next month and a half. So if you're looking for a unique Christmas gift for friends or family, or maybe just one person who you work out with regularly and you really want to punish them by making them join you for the Faithful 40 Challenge. Hashtag masochist. Some of us are, anyway. This will go live on Black Friday and then be an opportunity for a gift certificate over the next month and a half. So you'll see that go out on the Better Daily application on Black Friday, so you get the details there. But I wanted to give you a preview of it. I'm really excited about giving this away to some people that I love and that I also want to see tortured for the better in their 1% betterment journey. So let's dive into this psychology thing. So, psychology for healthy holidays. Holidays can be a very difficult time from a psychological perspective for a number of reasons. The primary being the whole stress factor, and also changing things around, meaning, you're not in your normal element, you're not in your normal environment. And even if you don't travel for the holidays, you're still not going to be in your normal environment. Maybe the work environment's going to be different for you. Maybe the traffic environment's going to be different for you. It's very possible that things that normally have 5 days in a week and 2 days on the weekend can be extended weekends or shortened work weeks. No matter where you are or what your holidays look like, the psychology of the holidays can be difficult because of the changes around them. But I want to reflect and talk through a bit when we're talking about healthy holidays. I want to start with the psychology of it, how they can be a really positive and powerful thing. So the first thing I want to bring up to you guys is that if you don't already think about the holidays this way, it's an awesome time to do so, and that is the renewal of purpose. The holiday season at the end of the year is a really awesome time for reflection. Naturally, because the days get shorter, things get busier from a familial perspective, but even from a corporate perspective, many businesses are slowing down their operations and stuff. Doesn't mean there's less work to do, but we're tying the bow on the year, and so everybody is kind of in this cultural mood of reflection, and I encourage you to do the same. A question you can ask yourself, and actually two questions you can ask yourself to begin the goal setting process, and we're going to talk about that next month with regard to having the best 2020, a new year, new you. But ask yourself, am I playing the best game with the hand I've been dealt? And you can look at 2021 and ask yourself that question. Am I playing the best game with the hand I've been dealt? I've said this a few times in different venues and in different settings and whatnot, but it's a simple prayer, really. What am I doing that I need to stop doing? And what am I not doing that I need to start doing? And as simple as it sounds, when we have the opportunity for reflection over the holidays and we start to set our intentions this way and we look at our holiday season, this is a really important part of that process, because when you do this process, two things naturally happen. One, you set yourself up with a criteria for a win in the future. If you can say, no, I'm not playing the best game with the hand I've been dealt, I could be doing XYZ and I need to stop doing this. That's awesome. And you can also set a date for that thing to start happening in your life, which is cool, because you could say, I just finished saying that the holidays don't need to be a write-off, but you could say, hey, starting December 27th, I'm going to start doing these three things. I'm going to not do this thing, and I'm going to enlist these three people to help me stay accountable to what it is that I say I want to do, how I can play the best game with the hand I've been dealt. And that's the second thing that happens. Is one of the things that adds stress to the holidays is that feeling like, oh my gosh, all this stuff's going on. I'm not being able to implement the workouts that I need to implement. I'm not able to eat the food that I need to eat. I'm not able to get the rest I need to get, blah blah blah. If you've already set it up ahead of time that this is the holiday season, this can be a wonderful time of restoration, of family, of connection, of intention. I'm setting this block. I'm saying this is what the holidays are about. Then you kind of remove the impetus of change from yourself. You don't have to worry that you're not making the changes that you want to make. And similarly, you can ask the question, how can I do better in 2022 than 2021? Even if you're not into this reflection thing, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, then better is your cup of tea. You know you're not perfect. You know you could be better. And so that's such a simple question. How can I do better in 2022 than I did in 2021? Now, it's easy to ask the question. answering it is harder, and actually doing what you answer is harder as well. But this is the framework. This is the setup for a healthy holiday. When you approach starting with this intention, it doesn't mean you have to start doing the actions right now, but you're leading yourself. You're giving yourself the space required to enjoy your holidays and to set yourself up for success and starting strong in the new year. Now, that said, a lot of tonight is going to be about how we can make our health habits integrated with the season. So, seasonal integrated health, what that sounds like some really fancy words, but what it means is there are seasons of our lives that are really, really good for trying to make different changes. And this season, the holiday season, when the days are shorter and the nights are colder and we're traveling a lot and that sort of stuff, this season is actually a really good season to grow some muscle. And so, what I'm going to encourage you guys tonight to do, because I'm going to talk about burning fat, I'm going to talk about growing muscle, what I'm going to encourage you to do is to look at your holidays in a way to say, how can I work with myself during this season? How can I make the most of the time that I have over the next month and a half through the holidays rather than trying to fight it, right? So, I would say that this season is a season I love to spend some really intense time growing muscle. I really specific, really focused, really important to me to make sure that I maintain good muscle tissue as I'm aging. It's important to my joints. It's important to the way I see myself. It's important to my athletic performance. So this is a great time for me to do that. I'm not trying to like look the best in my swimsuit right now. First of all, I'm not wearing a swimsuit like ever in the next 6 months. It's really cold right now. I couldn't imagine it. But second, it's very counterproductive for the holiday season. Some of the things that I'll be doing over the next month and a half to celebrate family, to celebrate my birthday. My birthday's in December. Those things, I'm going to work with those things. I'm going to make good use of the extra energy I'm taking into my body and the nature of that energy, carbohydrates and fats, to build some muscle and to work with those things. And so, what I'm going to encourage you to do from a psychological perspective is how can I integrate my health goals within this season? And don't worry if you're like, well, I don't want to grow muscle, Alex. I still plan a trip to Florida in the middle of December, and so I still am going to wear a swimsuit, unlike some people I know. And if that's the case, that's fine. We're going to talk about fat loss in a second, but I really want you to think about that. Is that for everything there is a season, and that this season, the holiday season, needs to work with you. You need to work with it. If you're working against it in a lot of different veins, you're going to have a hard time. You're probably going to work harder than you should, and you're probably going to get subpar results for yourself. And then, last but not least, from a psychological perspective, is this concept of indulgence versus abstinence. Really, and this is what I tackled in our live shortcast today, is there a place for feasting in betterment? Okay, so I want you to picture something, right? Picture something you do every day for your health and fitness. Maybe you sleep. I hope you sleep a lot and well. Maybe you sleep. Maybe you eat breakfast every day. Maybe you get 10,000 steps every day. Whatever it is, right? Okay, so these things that you do every day over the course of a year, ideally you do them 365 times, unless it's a leap year, in which case you do it 366 times, but in general you're doing it a lot of times in the year, right? Now I want you to imagine that you have one very large, very overindulgent Thanksgiving feast with your family. Now the question I pose is, which makes more of a difference in your overall betterment? A giant feast at Thanksgiving, or what you do 365 or 366 on a leap year days in a year? I mean, the answer is obvious, right? If you're not sleeping enough every day of the year, then that's going to catch up with you more than your Thanksgiving dinner is, right? And similarly, the same goes for what you eat for breakfast every day, and the same thing goes for how active you are every day, how many exercise days you get in a week, that sort of stuff, right? And and so when I lay this out to you, I want you to understand that when it comes to the holidays, what gets people from a psychological perspective is not the individual celebrations. I don't know a single person who from today to December 31st is going to have a giant celebration every day with their workplace and or their family and or their friends or and or all by themselves. All by myself. I guess you could celebrate by yourself, but it's not quite as fun, right? That's not what gets people. What gets people is the psychological thing that says, "Oh, it's the holidays. So I'm going to start this whole eating healthy exercise thing in January. I don't need to worry about it right now. Why should I even worry about it right now? I'm traveling, I'm busy, I have all these things going on. I can't even imagine trying to go for a walk right now. I can't even imagine trying to eat a healthy breakfast today. I can't even imagine trying to fast today, right? That's what gets people is this all or nothing mentality. And what I want to encourage you is that if we set up our defaults well, our default being the things we do every day, if we set up our defaults well, then a few celebrations over the holidays is not going to ruin your health and fitness goals. They're not going to ruin your betterment journey. And I say this because I was at I've trained people through the holidays. I've hung out with family over the holidays. As you can imagine, I've been a trainer for a long time. So people often will say funny things to me like I'll be at a Christmas party and the Christmas cookie tray will come by or something and they'll be like, "Oh no, I'm good. I I don't need any cookies." And then they'll say to me like I'm trying to cut down on carbs. As if like I'm supposed to high five them or slap them on the butt, like good job, not saying yes to Christmas cookies. I'm like, I'm gonna have a Christmas cookie. Like, why wouldn't I eat a Christmas cookie? And then they look at me weird, like, you're a trainer. You eat carbs? Hell yeah, I eat carbs. I did legs to prepare for today's holiday treats, and I'm going to enjoy my carbs. I earned them. Also, I rarely, if ever, eat cookies. So there's that. and and that's what I would encourage as we're looking at the holidays. If there are things that really matter to you, if there are things that you want to enjoy connection with others over, if there are things that make the holidays holidays for you, by all means, please, for the love of God, like enjoy those things. I said it this morning in the live and I'll say it again. I have a family member who this is probably going to be his last Thanksgiving and last Christmas with us. We pray it's not, but it's possible. And if that's the case, why would he want to live more years if we were like, well, we want you to be around next Thanksgiving, but no, we're having salad and chicken. And I'm not saying food's the only thing worth living for, but I'm saying one of the reasons that that life can be enjoyable throughout the holidays and one of the reasons that we enjoy good food with each other is because it binds us together. So if I'm at a Christmas party and take it or leave it, if I'm at a Christmas party with you, I'm eating the cookie and you can enjoy the cookie with me or not. It's your call, but I'm not giving you a high five for passing on the carbs, okay? I will give you a high five if you join me for leg day that morning. Then then you get the trainer's high five and we will enjoy our cookie together while we grow our glutes. So that's that. You heard it here, folks. Eat the dang cookie. Oh, I cracked myself up. All right, so let's talk about burning fat well. Now I'm going on about cookies. So burning fat well. Remember, I said for everything there is a season. You want to make your holiday work with you rather than against you. And let's say your goal is burning fat well, and this is not just a vain thing. This is not like, oh, I want to keep my six pack through the holidays. Burning fat well is important. It's important for blood sugar regulation. It's important for brain health. It's important for digestive health, right? Burning fat well does not just mean losing fat or maintaining good body composition. Burning fat well is an indication of having low stress and good endurance and good cardiovascular function. It's important across the board for so many reasons. Okay, so burning fat well is not just body composition. So if you want to burn fat well over the holidays, let's say we're trying to maintain consistent energy levels, maybe you still, like I said, you're trying to look good in a swimsuit for your Florida trip. Fine, whatever. What I want to do is give you some parameters around that. How can we make sure that our metabolic processes are in a good place to use fat well as a fuel source? So these are quick and dirty. If you want to get them more specific, please, by all means, grab me in the Better Daily app and ask, and I will help you put some more parameters around these. But in general, from a nutrition perspective, you want to eat a lower carb with a higher protein focus. So from a carbohydrate perspective, we're looking at 80 grams or less per day on average for your burning fat well thing. That's not quite ketogenic. Ketogenic would be down in the 30 to 50 range, depending on how buff you are. But less than 80 is pretty low. We're talking fruits and veggies and high fiber fruits, not bananas. We're talking about strawberries and blueberries being the basic source of your nutrition there. There are no chips involved in the less than 80 grams per day category, and the Christmas cookies certainly could exist, but not very frequently. It'd be like a 1 day a week kind of thing, so that the other 6 days a week you can be burning fat well as a fuel source. And again, high protein focus. So when you're eating that low carbohydrate, you might wrestle with your satiety, meaning how full you feel or how hungry you are, that craving sort of thing. And so you're going to need some good protein. You're going to need some chicken, some fish, some eggs, some sardines, because those are good for you, and also some Greek yogurt. There's a bunch of great sources of protein we've talked through in our group and whatnot. So then from a weight training perspective, if you're wanting to burn fat well, there's some specific parameters around this as well. So you're looking at conditioning. That's the goal of the weight training. About 2 to 3 days a week, and you're looking at 20 to 25 sets per muscle group. So, let's say you do your lat pull down for 3 sets. That's three for your upper body, right? And so you can add that into your 20 to 25 sets per muscle group. We're looking at 15 to 25 reps per set with very, very little rest, 0 to 30 seconds. And then we're looking at body weight exercises to light exercises. When you're doing 25 reps of something, you can't do heavy 25 reps of something. If you can do 25 reps of it, it ain't heavy. Heavy is when you can only do something like 6 to 8 repetitions with that particular weight. And so under weight training, those are the parameters. These are the things that are going to help us tap into those type 1 muscle fibers, which are really good at burning fat as a fuel source and utilizing oxygen to help us do that. And then from a cardiovascular perspective, we're looking at 3 to 5 days weekly of cardiovascular training. And we're looking at mostly base and moderate intensity. And the way we categorize that is base is, and it's harder than, well, it's not harder than walking. Depends on how good a shape you are. For some people, walking is base cardio. But if you walk 10,000 steps a day and that's pretty easy for you, then base cardio would be like a light jog, right? Moderate intensity cardio would be a faster paced jog or run, and then that high intensity cardio is when you're sprinting or really pushing the envelope. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is the easiest thing I've ever done, and 10 being I'm going to die in the next 10 seconds if I don't stop, then base cardio is that 2 to 4, and moderate intensity cardio is that 5 to 7. So it should be done before weight training or by itself. This will help you to burn fat better as a fuel source, as opposed to flipping it, which we will talk about when we talk about growing muscle in a second. We want our cardio first, and then weight training, if burning fat well is our goal. That'll help us to maintain good fat burn during our cardiovascular exercise and help us to maintain good fat burn after our workout. And then consistency is key here. I don't care so much that you get a 40-minute cardio session in if you can only do that once or twice a week. What I care more about is if you can get 5 days a week of 20 minutes in, if that makes sense. So consistency is the key. The more frequently you do this fat burning thing, the better off you'll be throughout the holidays burning fat well as a fuel source. And let's say you do have one of those feasting days. Thanksgiving is not a very low carb day, or at least not around my house. And so, does that mean it's shot? Well, no, like 1 or 2 or 3, maybe even 5 high carb days in the next 40 days is not going to ruin your fat burn overall. Now, if your high carb day turns into a high carb week, then you're going to have to spend a whole nother week getting back to burning fat well as a fuel source before you're going to be on that train, right? So some pro tools. One, if you're not keeping a food journal, this is an extremely powerful tool when it comes to burning fat well. It's difficult to keep your carbohydrate count below 80 grams per day. It is difficult, and I would say it's impossible without journaling, unless you've just done this a lot and you already know I can eat this and this and this and this, and my carbs will be in a great spot. Caffeine can actually be a very helpful thing to burn fat well as a fuel source. Just don't overdo it, right? Generally, I tell my clients, hey, cut yourself off from caffeine after 12 p.m. because we don't want it to interrupt your sleep. It does not help your fat burn to get poor sleep. You actually burn more carbohydrates and less fat if you're sleeping poorly. So the average person needs 7.5 hours of sleep per night. And in studies where they take the control group of 7.5 hours and they pit them against those who sleep 4 hours per night, the carb burn for the 4 hour per night people is 3 times higher at rest than those who got 7.5 hours. So getting a poor night's sleep because you drank too much caffeine after 12 p.m. is bad juju. So take your caffeine before 12 and then cut yourself off at 12, and that elevated metabolic rate can be helpful from a fat burning perspective, especially if you're getting to do some activity around that. So fasting can also be helpful and powerful. I've spoken about this in a number of other places, so I won't harp on it too much. But fasting can, one, be a really helpful reset after a feasting day. So let's say you do have a feast with your family, and it's wonderful, and you want to get back to burning fat well as a fuel source. Then you can plan a moderate, short-term to moderate fast afterward to help you get back in a great state of fat metabolism. And so that helps you kind of lower those glycogen stores from the feast, and then come back to asking your body, hey, we're not relying on carbs here, we're looking at fat as a fuel source. So that could be like an 18-hour fast if you're relatively inexperienced, or maybe are going back to back feasting days or something like that. Or if you're more practiced at fasting, a 24 to 36-hour fast can be a very powerful way of resetting that whole fat burn metabolism for yourself. And then ideal days, taking some time to map out, hey, when I'm not doing this crazy holiday stuff, when we come back from travel, or when we're back at our house eating our food, these are my ideal days. This is what I need to eat that is good for me and is safe for my digestive tract. This is so helpful for me, by the way, not just burning fat well, just knowing, like, here's a couple meals for breakfast, here's a couple meals for lunch, here's a couple meals for dinner, that no matter what state of life I'm in, if I eat those things today, my digestive tract's going to be happy, I'm going to have great energy, my body's going to be well fed, and that's good. So take some time to plan some ideal days. It can be really helpful to keep those carbs low if you're trying to burn fat well as a fuel source, or help you get back on the wagon, so to speak, after an intentional day of celebration. And then last but not least is Epoch, excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. This is where I joke about doing leg day before eating Christmas cookies. The idea is that when you're recovering from a good weight training bout, this can happen for high intensity interval training too, but it's mostly weight training. When you're recovering from weight training, your caloric and metabolic needs rise significantly after the workout. And so the more intense the workout, the larger the muscle groups, the more your body is going to need the extra energy. And so your fat burn increases that day. So let's say I do an intense leg workout in the morning, and if I'm trying to burn fat well here, I'm 20 to 25 sets, 15 to 25 repetitions, body weight to light. I'm doing jump squats, I'm doing lunges, I'm doing TRX single leg squats, I'm doing leg press, right? I'm crushing my legs. Well, now for the rest of the day, my body's burning fat at a really high rate. And so enjoying a meal that might be higher in carbohydrates not only feeds my body well, but also doesn't make such a big impact on my blood sugar and my glycogen, because my body's already recovering from my weight workout. So those are some pro tools for burning fat. Well, now on the other side of the spectrum, we've got our muscle growing people. I would put myself in that category. I really love being in a state of hypertrophy, also known as the gain train, at this time of year. So this is on the other side of the spectrum. Here are some parameters for you. So lower fat, and that's actually hard sometimes too from a holidays perspective. Just because you're growing muscle does not give you carte blanche to eat every holiday meal every single day, right? Because it's hard sometimes to find a holiday meal That's lower fat. Um, Higher protein and carb focus, so at least 160 grams or more of carbohydrates per day. And then from a nutrition perspective, the big meals are on or after lifting days. So you're going to recover from your lifting workouts the most between 24 and 36 hours after the workout. So I do leg day this morning, and then, Thanksgiving meal in the evening. I'm not even joking. Thursday, Thanksgiving, I will be doing leg day at 6:30 in the morning with one of my clients who could not believe that I work out on Thanksgiving. So he's gonna get a good crash course in Coach Alex on Thursday, and then he's gonna enjoy his Thanksgiving meal as he should. And so a big meal on or after lifting days makes great use of the extra food that you're consuming, and also will be great incentive and motivations to stay consistent. Weight training, the parameters are really simple. We're on the gain train, baby. Hypertrophy is 3 to 5 days per week of weight training, 20 to 30 sets per muscle group. You can see that that's just a slight bit higher than the fat burning way of doing things. And we're looking at 6 to 10 reps, 60 to 90 seconds rest, moderate to heavy weight. Volume is key, right? So we're trying to get as many reps as we can with the heaviest weight that we can, and we're doing 20 to 30 sets of that in our workouts. It's a grand old time. It's my favorite way to train, and I know it's a lot of your favorite ways to train, so I'll be in good company on the gain train over the holidays. From a cardiovascular perspective, we're looking at 3 to 5 days weekly, and it's mostly high intensity. If your sole goal over the holidays, and maybe not sole, but your focus over the holidays, is to grow your muscle, then you don't want to be engaging in a lot of base cardiovascular exercise. It's a great time to work on speed. It's a great time to push the envelope from an intensity perspective. And you can think of these as kind of like a workout snack almost. You can do them right after a weight training day. Maybe you can do leg day, and then you can hit the Stairmaster for 30 seconds really hard and then 30 seconds easy, right? Remember, high intensity is that on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. 10, if I keep going, I'm going to die in the next 10 seconds. We're looking at that 8, 9, and 10. That's the high intensity. If you can hold this high intensity for more than 60 seconds, then it is not high intensity. You're not going high intensity. So mostly high intensity. It can be done after weights. You don't want to do it before, you want to do it after. Or as like a separate workout snack. You don't have a lot of time, and so you can knock out a quick high intensity, maybe calisthenic workout, or maybe you can go for a quick, I hate this word, they call it fartlek runs. It's not as gross as it sounds. It's a Swedish term. Anyway, fartlek runs are where you run really really hard and then you walk, and then you run really really hard and then you walk. You do that too, and it doesn't require a lot of equipment. So pro tools for growing muscle over the holidays. You have the anabolic window, which is, it's a really fancy bodybuilding term, but it just means that there's a period of time right after your workout where a large amount of carbohydrates and a little bit of protein would be really helpful to you. And so if you're really serious about this growing muscle thing and you want that extra few percentage points of benefit from your workout, then utilizing the anabolic window can be really helpful to you. You're going to make great use of the hormone insulin, and you're going to recover a little bit faster if you eat a large amount of carbohydrates and a little bit of protein right after your workout. And when I say large amount, I'm talking 120 grams or so of carbohydrates to about 30 to 40 grams of protein. That's a lot of carbs and a little bit of protein. That's like 5 or 6 ounces of turkey and 2.5 cups of stuffing. So enjoy. Stuffing if you're from the north, dressing if you're from the south. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I call it. So creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is another awesome tool with regard to growing muscle. I've spoken at length about this in other places, so if you want the link to the work I've done on this in the past, please let me know. But otherwise, creatine is just a wonderful thing that you can be taking daily, 5 grams per day, to enhance that whole growing muscle thing. And there's research to suggest that it's helpful in utilizing carbohydrates as a fuel source as well. Doesn't mean they won't like stick to your love handles or whatever if you don't use them. It just means that it helps you tap into those energy stores better. So We've talked about psychology. We've talked about the fat burning. We've talked about growing muscle. Now let's talk about supplements. Everybody wants to. Is there a special supplement I can take where none of my holiday calories matter? First of all, your food's more than calories. And no, there's no supplement you can take that lets you eat whatever you want for as long as you want, as long as you take the supplement. Not yet, anyway. And if there was, I wouldn't have the patent on it. It's not. I don't think that's a great way to approach life. But enough about me. Let's talk about some things we can realistically and powerfully do with supplements. So first, vitamin D and magnesium. If you're not already taking these, you probably should be. Vitamin D is extremely important during the low sun period of the year. Right now, our UV index is too low to make vitamin D from the sun unless you're in the very tip of Florida or the very tip of Texas. God bless Texas. If you're down in that very, very southern end, you might be able to make some vitamin D. But those of us up here, I'm in Arkansas. We have people in Better Daily from Canada, up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. You guys aren't making any vitamin D. So take some, supplement some. Up to 4,000 IU of vitamin D has been studied to be very, very safe no matter what your vitamin D levels are. But if you suspect your vitamin D is low and you have a blood test to prove it, you can get much higher, 5,000 IU, 10,000 IU. I know some folks who take 20,000 IU, and so you need some vitamin D in your life. Super important for immuno support if you're going to be traveling around exposed to a bunch of different. I went Mike Tyson on you there for a second. If you're being exposed to a bunch of different pathogens, you want to make sure your immune system's high. And then similarly with magnesium, magnesium also has the added benefit of improving your insulin sensitivity and helping you process sugars better. So that's an added benefit. It's not the sugar category though. I put berberine down there for you, which we'll talk about in a second. But magnesium, super helpful for your immune system, super supportive of your vitamin D intake, and has a number of positive benefits like improved testosterone for men, lowered blood pressure in both males and females, and actually slightly increased cardiovascular performance. So, magnesium, please get some, please take some. Also, you want to make sure that you're getting enough probiotics in your life during this season. The change in seasons will change your microbiome. Part of that is natural and good. Part of that is not so good. For instance, it's supposed to be dark where I am right now. Is it dark? Nope. You can see I'm in the studio. I've got light in my face. I've got light on my head. The microbiome changes that my body's supposed to go through with the change of seasons is not supported by the way we live. And once upon a time when the sun went down, the only source of light you were going to get was a fire, which was very, very dim, right? But here I am in the bright light of the studio. And so what I'm saying to you is you need to support your microbiome. Also, you're going to be eating all kinds of weird stuff if you're taking my advice seriously about enjoying the celebration. And so you want to combat sugar, reinforce the good guys. I recommend a probiotic that has Saccharomyces boulardii in it. That's S. boulardii. And if you're in the Better Daily app, you can actually find that. You go to the resources, you go to, in fact, you can find all these. You go to resources, you go to nutrition, and then go to supplements, and you'll see all the supplements I recommend there. You can just click there, and it'll take you right to Amazon, so you can see what it is that I recommend to my clients when they're like, "Okay, Alex, probiotic, great. What one should I take?" And here's the link. So then we've got your digestive detox and repair. This is for anybody who, like me, their digestive tract hates change and is very finicky. So L-glutamine is an amino acid that is helpful for restoring your tissues, the lining of your small intestine and large intestine. Aloe juice, you can buy it in the pharmacy area of Walmart right near the stool softener. It is not a stool softener. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. Aloe juice can be really helpful for lowering the inflammation of your digestive tract. And then activated charcoal. Activated charcoal comes in pill form, and you can take that, and what it does is it'll pull any heavy metals that have been building up in the area, any toxins that have been hanging out in your digestive tract, and help support that process as well. And if you wrestle with loose or runny stools, activated charcoal can actually help to decrease the water in your large intestine as well. So digestive detox and repair, highly recommend glutamine, aloe juice, and activated charcoal daily through the holiday season. Then we've got L-theanine and Relora. These two together can really help with stress management, relaxation, and focus. For some people, it makes them really drowsy. So I wouldn't recommend like 3 p.m. at work. I'm super stressed. So L-theanine and Relora, like Alex said, you're like gonna be like falling asleep on your keyboard. Don't do that. But L-theanine plus Relora can be really helpful during this season to help you get some deeper sleep, to help calm that racy mind. You know, when you lay down and your body's tired and it's been a long day, but your mind won't shut up or shut off, L-theanine and Relora can really help with that. And then we've got insulin sensitivity in the season where you're going to have a lot of carbohydrates and whatnot, making sure that your body's blood sugars stay relatively stable and making sure that your body stays insulin sensitive can be a really helpful part of bouncing back from higher carbohydrate celebrations and whatnot. And I put berberine here. That is actually a pill. Berberine is a pill. It helps with insulin sensitivity. It's like a natural form of metformin. They're not the same thing. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. It's not a medication. It is a supplement. It's naturally occurring. But what it does is it improves your insulin sensitivity and reduces your insulin resistance. And then you'll notice I put fasting and walking. I know they're not supplements, but both of those things can really help with insulin sensitivity. I have a man I'm working with who has lost 125 pounds. We still have about 80 pounds to go. And that man wrestles really hard with insulin resistance. And in his life, by insulin resistance, I mean like type 2 diabetes and whatnot. In his life, when he does want to enjoy a celebration, let's say anniversary with his wife, maybe birthday, Thanksgiving coming up, it's not like he can't have stuffing. But the next day, generally we do a short fast and a long walk. And what that does is we've seen it in his weight on the scale, we've seen it in his blood sugars, we've seen it in his insulin tests that that generally sets his insulin right back where it needs to be after eating things he doesn't normally eat. And so highly recommend fasting and walking to help with insulin sensitivity. And then last but not least here, omega-3s. If you're not eating a lot of fish on a regular basis, those of you in Better Daily who hang out with me regularly know I'm all about the sardines, at least daily, sometimes more often. But omega-3 fatty acids can be a great supplement, and curcumin can be a great supplement to help support your inflammatory process and recovery. Inflammation is the response of stress. If you work out really hard and your body gets sore, that's actually inflammation of your nervous system tissue and your muscle tissue. And inflammation isn't bad, it actually repairs and restores things. There are studies that show that if you take ibuprofen right after a workout, your inflammation will be less. Your delayed onset muscle soreness will be less the next day. But over a period of 8 to 12 weeks, you'll grow less muscle than somebody who just endured the pain. So inflammation's a good thing. It's the adaptive response to stress. However, one of the things that gets us over the holidays is 40 days of continual stress and 40 days of continual travel and sleep deprivation and eating weird. And so what's happening is we're staying in a space of inflammation, which will make you sick and which will break you down and make you have all kinds of weird cravings and make your blood pressure go up and clog your arteries and all kinds of crummy stuff. And so what you want to do is you want to support your body so that the inflammatory process is as smooth and as restorative as possible, so you're not dealing with chronic inflammation. So omega-3 fatty acids will promote an anti-inflammatory environment, and curcumin will actually lower those inflammatory cytokines, especially in the digestive tract, to help you recover well. So watch out for medication interactions here. I have to say that none of these are prescriptive for disease and whatnot, but at the same time, if you're thinking about adding one of these to your current regimen, make sure they're not going to interact with one of your medications. It could be a quick message to your doctor, it could be a quick Google search your medication, and make sure, taking magnesium isn't going to mess with the ability of your medication to do its job. And an example would be, don't consume a bunch of omega-3 fatty acids if you're on Coumadin or warfarin, which are blood thinners, because they have an interaction that will make your blood even thinner. So you don't want that. Cost-wise, hey man, if you bought everything I just said, it'd be pretty expensive. And so, find what it is that you need here, and then people are always asking, like, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for the holidays, man? You can be like, all right, look, I'm really trying to wrestle with my digestive detox and repair, and Coach Alex says I need activated charcoal and glutamine. So if you can hook me up with those at our next juncture, that would be great. And people will look at you funny, and that's okay because you're getting better daily, and they need to too. So timing as well. You don't just take some of these. You don't just take every day at whatever time. For instance, vitamin D could bother you with regard to sleep. Not everybody, but some people will report vitamin D disturbs their sleep. Or L-theanine relora can help relax you. Again, you don't want to take that first thing in the morning because you don't need to be falling asleep at 10 a.m. because you're so relaxed. So these are considerations worth noting, and if you need some more direction or guidance, please reach out to me. I'm very, very happy to help you. You can tag me on any post in Better Daily with just at Coach Alex Van Houten. Usually if you put at Coach, I'll pop right up there. So almost there. Hang with me as we're coming up on the end of our seminar here. I said some of this earlier, but I want to reiterate it. The holidays deserve a moderating mindset. Pleasure is not bad, especially when it's part of the plan. So if you haven't already thought about it, give yourself a moment. And if you need these, some people don't want these parameters on their holidays, and that is fine. That's why I do leg day. But if you want these parameters, here's some important questions to ask yourself. What's your self-imposed drink limit? What's your self-imposed dessert limit? Are there any days where moderation isn't feasible or good? How can you make the most of that? How will you bounce back or reset, especially with a large intake of food you're not used to eating? And then who are your allies? Who are the people that you can partner with to help you stay on track and on board with your intention? Because each one of these things are an important part of being conscious. And I hope if you don't take anything else away from me over the seminar, is that the holidays are healthier when they're conscious. The holidays can be healthy and good and lower stress than usual and beneficial for your restorative process at the end of the year, and muscle growing and fat burning and psychologically positive and all those things if we're conscious about them. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be perfect. You're not going to do it perfectly. I'm just saying that we can do it better. And so give yourself a moment to think through those things if those moderation points matter to you. Maybe this isn't an issue for you, but maybe you find that by the end of December, generally, you're like detoxing an alcoholic because you've had way too much to drink in the past month. And if that's you, take a moment, give yourself the moment to say, what's my drink limit in December? How many drinks am I going to have per week in December? And how am I going to articulate that to my allies, or maybe to the people who aren't my allies, my enablers, right? If I set a 5 drink limit for myself over each week of December, and so I hit my drink limit, and I tell my friends, look, I'm not drinking anymore. I've had plenty. They're like, oh no, have another one. I'm like, no, I've had plenty. Nah, you party pooper. What are you gonna say to that? What are you gonna say to that? You're just gonna pat him on the face? Ah, you're cute. Shut up. Or what? I don't. You can say what you want to say. The point is, if you approach this consciously, then by the end of the holidays, we can be looking forward to 2022 in an excited and positive and powerful fashion, rather than going, man, I really sucked it up the last month. I don't want that to be you. Don't let that be you. Let's be conscious about this thing. Last but not least, preparing for family. This is a shameless tweet from Defining Dad Bod. That's my personal account. We have a Better Daily Twitter account as well for the shortcast and whatnot. But for my personal account, I said one of the most surprising things that I see as a coach is how unsupportive family and friends can be of their loved ones in their progress toward health and fitness goals. I have to say this, don't be discouraged by the naysayers, because oftentimes it has a lot more to do with the lack of commitment on their part, not your lack of progress. And I say this, it sounds like a high and mighty, arrogant thing to say, but I say this because I've worked with people who've worked hard over an entire year to improve themselves. They're burning fat well as a fuel source, and they've grown muscle, and they've gotten faster in their half mile, and they're eating well, and they've cut out garbage from their diet, and they're doing super well, and they go home for the holidays, and maybe they've lost like 40 pounds. Maybe they were overweight or obese before, and now they've lost 40 pounds, and they go home for their holidays, and somebody at the table says, "Oh my God, what happened to you? You look sick. Oh, what is wrong with you? We need to put some meat on your bones. You need a cheeseburger." And maybe that's comical to some, but for the person who has worked their butt off to improve themselves, to get off of medications, to face some of the demons that they've had to face this year in order to make these things happen for themselves, that is so deflating if you're not ready for it. That is so deflating. It's so frustrating. It's so hurtful, especially if you look up to this person, especially if they have some authority over your life. This often comes from well-meaning moms. No offense, mom. Well-meaning mom's like, "Oh, what happened to you? My baby's wasting away. Here, give this boy some pumpkin pie." "No, mom, I'm just trying not to die of a heart attack. Thanks." Uh, this has happened to more people than I can count. And so I think it's important to prepare for family, and this slide should also say friends. Preparing for family and friends. What is your truth versus your excuse? What is your truth versus your excuse? So if somebody says, "Wow, you've lost a whole lot of weight, you look sick, you need some pumpkin pie," don't immediately jump to, "Yeah, well, my doctor said I need to lose some weight, or I'm going to have to take these medications, so I'm really trying to be careful." Don't do that. I mean, do it if you have to. But that is an excuse. What is the truth? What is the truth? The truth is, yeah, man, I realized that my eating habits, my exercise habits were going to put me in an early grave, and I want to be there for my kids. That's the truth. That's why people don't get up every morning and go for a run when they don't want to because they're trying to do something their doctor told them to. It's because you realized there was a problem and you made a change. And if that's you, speak that, say it. The reason I say that forcefully is because other people need to hear that. If chances are, if somebody's not being encouraging to you about your progress, they probably need to hear your real why. And heck, if it doesn't help them, fine. But at least you said it. And you can feel good, and you can feel confident, and you can feel strong in what you've done to make yourself better this year. Take some time to anticipate what hot button conversations might pop up. And are you willing to rehearse them in the mirror? I know it's silly. I know it's silly. But take some time to think about it. Because let's say you're the person who's given yourself the 5-drink limit, and your family's quite the heavy drinkers, and they're going to call you a party pooper if you deny the next drink, right? What are you going to say? How are you going to say that in a way that makes you feel good about the way you approach the situation? How are you going to say that with grace? How are you going to speak the truth in love? How are you going to approach that? Because there's no reason that your betterment journey needs to make this an emotional hotbed. There just isn't. You can be prepared for that. So think about it. If the family thing is an issue, if you're expecting some resistance or some tension, be prepared. And then also think about this. Like, this isn't just about what you want. Who in your family needs your healthfulness to rub off on them? It's okay to be the weirdo. It's okay. It's okay to be like, "Hey, we've been doing nothing but eating for like 3 hours. Who wants to go for a walk with me? Mom, come here. We're going for a walk." "No, no, no, I can't." "Get up, get up. I don't spend enough time with you anyway. Get up. We're going for a walk. I'll walk slow." Or whatever it is. Who in your family needs your healthfulness to rub off on them? This is so important. I know so many people who have worked for betterment in themselves, and they'll say things like, "I'm the healthy one in my family," which generally means not that everybody is a slob or something. It just means that something's different about you. And my question is, how can you bring everybody along? How can you bring people along in that? We do the Faithful 40 Challenge here in the Better Daily community. The next one starts on the 1st of January. I'm very excited to launch that in 2022. But the whole ethos of that is how we bring each other along, how we partner with each other, how we team up to set our intention and do what it is that we say we're going to do over a period of 40 days that makes us better. And I would encourage you in that ethos and that philosophy to whoever it is that you need to bring along. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe you need to bring them on the drink limit thing. Good luck with that. Maybe you need to go to bed and make everybody. I'm going to bed, and everybody be quiet in the hallway because I'm trying to sleep, man. Or set an alarm and go for a run with somebody who you should spend some time with too. I would encourage you to ask yourself that question. And if all else fails, blame me. That would be great. I don't mind. I don't mind being the black sheep or the what do you call that? Yeah, black sheep. I don't mind being the scapegoat. That's what I was looking for. Black sheep, scapegoat, same difference. Point is, I don't mind being the person you blame for whatever weird thing you're doing. Oh, I gotta go do the turkey trot 5K because this weird guy I'm connected to in the virtual community is all about his 5Ks. I don't care. Blame me. And that's fine. I wouldn't mind people messaging me and be like, "What have you done to my family member? They're brainwashed." And you're welcome. Also, here's a short cast. You should get brainwashed too. I'm just kidding. So, if all else fails, you can blame me. It's okay. It won't hurt my feelings. You can blame me till kingdom come. Alex said I can't have any more sugar. Alex said I need to keep my wine at 5 drinks a week. Alex said I need to take vitamin D. Alex said I need to go for a walk. Like, you can blame me. It won't hurt my feelings at all. You make your decisions, but if you got to, blame me. So, that's our Healthy Holidays seminar here in Better Daily. I hope that was beneficial and good for you. I'm going to open the floor to any questions for our live group. And then if you have anything specifically for you that you need answered in this replay, then hop on over to the app and ask me. Again, you can tag me at Coach Alex, and I'll be happy to answer. Until next time in our seminars, I hope that you have a happy, happy holiday. And since Thanksgiving's coming up, happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful to have you.